Hello everyone, welcome back. This is your friendly neighborhood Alwyn. Um, as you can see, I've reset the signatures back into the boards on my press. In this case, you will need some strips of your burlap, some sort of hammer. I use a mallet, a rubber mallet, and PVA glue. And make sure you have a piece of paper towel. What we're going to do next is we're going to put some additional supporting in between. First thing you'll want to do, though, is we're wanting to spread. I'll move this over so you can see a little bit. You want to make an arc. I've already done that, but I'm going to demonstrate it. Across the supports themselves, just bring it across. What you're doing is you're pulling on both sides. Again, you're doing a downward tap. You don't want to do it too much, because if it starts pulling too much, then when you put your cover boards on, they will be too far off, because the back will have gotten too much of a pull to the front, and these ends will have gotten too much of a pull, and they'll pull the paper up too far into the base part. Now, taking the burlap, you'll make strips such as these that fit just in between the supports. Now, you're going to make the ones on this end are going to have to be a little wider than the others in a way, because you're going to be covering where you did your lock stitches. Then you're just going to run a little bit of glue. Do what you want on how much you think you should do. Just keep in mind, as you do, the glue will kind of want to obviously go in. Next, you can I use my finger because it's period. But you can use a small brush if you feel you want, or one of those craft foam brushes. We've all seen those. Just make sure when you're doing these ends specifically, you run a little bit of glue over those. You don't want to put them on the regular supports yet. That'll be something a little bit later, or another lesson. Probably lesson 6, I believe, is what we're going to be looking at. Maybe 7. Now you're going to take your burlap strips and just lay them on top. Make sure they're pressed down on top. On these ends, you'll want to make sure that the burlap covers these holes. Then you're going to take each strip and just bring them on. Make sure they're glued down nicely. This is a quick thing for you. So doing this step 5-10 minutes tops, depending on how long it takes you to get everything set up and ready to go. I had put these on before, but I had forgotten to hit the record button, so kind of had to start over. Sorry about that, guys. Now obviously this area no one is ever going to see, so you want to just run it over here. It doesn't matter if you've got some extra little pieces coming on, but you want to make sure, as you can see, there's the end pieces. You want to make sure that this glues down fully, and you can come back in an hour or so depending on what type of glue you're using, but you basically want to make sure that these are all glued down. And now you're just going to let them go. You're going to let it sit here for an hour or more, depending on the type of glue and how much time you got to work, and just leave it alone. Don't do anything with them. After we've done this, we'll move on to lesson 5, which will be sewing your end bands on. This is all a building process, so again, take your time. Learn it slowly. Do it slowly if you want. But I do not suggest just trying to do it all in one day, because it's just not going to work. You don't have time for that. But this process will take some time for you, so make sure that once these are in place, give yourself at least an hour. This PVA glue really good about drying pretty quickly. So we've now put in a little more strength in between the supports. And now when you come back, we're going to cut the ends off. As a matter of fact, why don't we go ahead and do that? Show you that now. You're just going to snip it. Be very careful. You don't want to snip into your support, obviously. I made that mistake once already on a previous thing. Messed me up bad, and I had to start all over. Just make sure you are still glued on both sides. Basically, you're just taking off the excess like this, and you'll do it on both sides. Make sure you're not cutting into your supports, because that would be a problem. Wouldn't be strong enough. Again, we're just cutting this piece. Support is taken care of. Make sure that it stays glued down. It may pull up a little bit like it just tried to on me. Not going to hurt anything because it's still gluing, and will be fixed eventually. There we go. Almost got it. And again, these pieces, you don't have to be pretty. Just make sure that they fit. They're cut wide enough to go through what areas of your supports you have. You will come to the conclusion that your supports are not exactly within certain windows, but that's the problem with doing something by hand. It's not going to be perfect. Perfection is a machine. You're a human being. You're going to make mistakes. This is definitely made by hand. This is definitely going to be one of those things. If you decide you want to do this for somebody's birthday or a Christmas gift, obviously it's a little late for Christmas gifts this year, unless you can get it done in a 2-week window, which you could probably do. I know I can usually get it done within about a week, within a week to 10 days. But you don't rush yourself, especially on your first one. Right now, just learn how to do the process. At this point, we've glued these down, trimmed off the excess. Now we will come back in an hour. I'll release this from here and move on back to my cutting board area, which is where we will take some of the additional stripping that we cut off when we got to certain areas, and we will be sewing them across the top of the board. So you want to try to keep them on top, and then we'll be adding those as an additional support from the tops of your signatures to go into your boards. I'll show you more of that later. For now, let this sit for an hour or two, depending on your glue, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.